I would like to hand over to Kerry Adler, CEO of SkyPower, who was in our first class of pioneers. So Kerry, come up and give us your story of how it is to be an SDG pioneer. Please welcome Kerry.
So, if it was not for Lise, none of us would be here. You know, it's interesting, if you go back into the 1800s, 1700s, and you wonder why, what they called pioneers then, you wondered why they went across the country in covered wagons. Does anybody wonder why they used covered wagons? They didn't want to wait 40 years for the train, because it had to be built. I can tell you that a pioneer is not just an individual. It's not someone that had a great idea. We as individuals in this room are all born with the talent. Whether you come with a genetic makeup that says, I'm going to make a difference, or you learn that along the way, the one thing that stays with you each and every day of your life is what makes you different. But what really is a pioneer? It's a change maker. It's someone who's brave to walk down a dark path not knowing what's there. It's being willing to say that, yes, I am going to make a difference. But what is the difference that you are going to make? How are you going to change a child's life? If that child grows, as many of our children and grandchildren will grow, in a world where we have neglected the basic fundamentals of goodness and ethics, to treat people, human beings, in such a diverse way, regardless of their race, creed, sex, or origin, that is a humanity that I believe in. That is a humanity that we should all believe in. My cousin spent many years working under Kofi Annan, Stephen Lewis. He was the ambassador from the UN to Africa for AIDS. And the stories he would share with me, how he would go back and forth to Africa, and he would see these poor families being struck down by a disease that they couldn't really control. And it took him years. And many of the people who are here from the UN during his time here would share with you, the halls would rock. Nelson was a friend of our families, as was his former wife, Winnie. Kofi Annan, what a great man. That leadership, as Lise said, is in the past. But it's a guiding light and a spirit for us as to what it is that we have to do and the changes that we have to effect as individuals. I'll share with you a little bit of my vision and my dream and my journey, because each of us have a journey. And each of these 10 pioneers have a journey. And that journey for them is already cast in stone. They already know where they are, and they know they're going to have to get there. See, after traveling most of the world and seeing some of the most impoverished individuals that you can see, and seeing the life that these poor children have to live because of the lottery of birth, I made a decision that I'm going to make a difference. Now, you cannot solve every one of the world's problems. I believe that if you're able to give basic electricity, you have a chance to give a child a meaningful opportunity to live. Electricity reduces infant mortality. Electricity educates a child and gives him a fair and reasonable chance to survive. It eliminates energy poverty. He can cook, she can cook. A wife who's sitting there with 4 or 6 children and lost her husband due to some unfortunate war, or maybe she didn't even have a husband. Every child deserves an opportunity to have a place in society, and every child should be heard. But that can't happen if they're living in the dark. You can't give them medical treatment. You can't give them the opportunity to participate in this room. What we take for granted is a shame. The lights in this room, there's more lights in this room than there are thousands of villages in Africa. And I will tell you, I've been to some of these villages. I've dedicated the rest of my life to ensuring that every child in this world has the right to have basic electricity. I have a team of wonderful people around the world. We're in 36 countries. We're building gigawatts of solar power. We're giving back a large percentage in solar kits. Let me tell you, when you see the eyes of a child, for the first time when you give him solar electricity, something that when twilight sets, he could read. Or to a young woman who couldn't walk outside at night for fear of being assaulted, or for playing basketball and wondering if you're going to get knifed or beat up. We live at a difficult time. We can sit here and debate and talk about climate change, but let me tell you the reality of climate change from my perspective. I think it's already too late if we don't change our behavior. But let's face it, we come from a different society. To change our behavior in a way that's going to have a meaningful impact is not going to happen in our lifetime, no matter how well we try to lead or how much we try to convince people to shut off the lights. But what we have to do is we have to take those chances. We have to be leaders. We have to speak with our voices, and we need to buy some time. We need to make the runway longer, long enough that funds can go into innovation, and we will find those technologies that will allow us to live and our grandchildren to live in a world that we call home. As pioneers, each and every one of you, you have a responsibility. I can tell you, when I stood on the stage and was awarded as a pioneer, it left me with something in my heart. It wasn't just for a year. It made me make a commitment to myself that I'm going to take every opportunity I have to assure and convince people that they have to look deep inside of them and say, what is my purpose? I didn't just get an award. It's not an Emmy or an Oscar. It's not about a great movie. It's about a journey. And you are entrusted as a pioneer to be the ambassador of the message, to go to your respective countries and let the world know what you've done. Scream loud from the rafters. Give power to the people. Get equality for the people. Clean water, sanitation, and education. An ability to participate and be a member of society. Power brings power. Food allows a child to exist for another day. Before the end of this year, we'll be unveiling one of the most revolutionary batteries in the world that is going to change the way that power is delivered around the world. That comes from a focus of wanting to make a difference. I'm so proud of all the pioneers, Lise, the Global Compact, the UN Foundation, everyone that works so hard to ensure that not only is this vision heard, not only are these pioneers recognized, but together, yes, together, we can and we will make a difference. From our hearts, good things come to people who put their hearts first. Love what you do, and people will be loved and have love for the rest of society. It's up to us. There's nobody else. Thank you very much for your time, and congratulations to the pioneers.